Hey, welcome back to another tutorial. So in this video, what we're going to do is look at some of the navigation controls and a few of the basic movement tools that you can use inside of 3ds Max. So if you've opened it up, you should have a view like mine. We're going to work in a single viewport for this video. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select my perspective standard, the edge faces view here, and we're going to use Alt-W and expand that. At any point, I can go back and press Alt-W and it'll bring me back to the 4. Alternatively, again, you can click the viewports layout and click back on the 4, and that'll give you those 4 windows back. You can also use controls. So T would be for the top viewport. So again, you can look here where you've got top, standard, wireframe, and you can use L for the left-hand viewport. And what I can do is press P to go back into perspective. So they're sort of your ways to navigate the scene. At any point, if you get too overwhelmed with the UI and you don't know what you're doing, just use the main toolbar here and reset to default state, and that'll reset the UI layout back to normal. And again, you can also navigate back here and just bring it back to the 4 windows. So I'm going to use Alt-W again and bring up the single viewport here, the window. Okay, so navigating the scene. Middle mouse button will pan. Okay, so middle mouse button actually pans in here. You can use Alt middle mouse button to rotate the camera view around. Perhaps if you've not got a grid on, it's worth mentioning G will toggle this on and off. So you can use the button G. The middle mouse button scroll will zoom in and out for you. So you can zoom sort of in and out there. You can use the view cube as well. This is quite handy where you can sort of lock in there and sort of move around, and you can click these views quickly to get quick access to different viewpoints inside of the perspective window. And again, just use that middle mouse button to pan. Now, in the previous video, I created a teapot. So what I want you to do in this video is create yourselves another teapot. So pause it and do that now. Okay, so hopefully you were able to create that teapot. So what I'm going to do is very quickly create one myself. So I'm just going to come up to the create standard primitives and select the teapot. Then I can click and drag out a teapot. So something like this. That's fantastic. Now, I did mention that each of the items in each of the standard primitives come with parameters. I believe I mentioned it in the last video. And these parameters allow you to control different features on a standard primitive. Now, depending on what you've created will depend on the controls that you get, or the parameters you get. So, for example, some will let you control height and width, and this one, for example, radius as well. Okay, so what we'll do now is we'll just look at some of the movement tools here. So we've looked at the navigation. So again, you can Alt middle mouse button will snap that in place. We can sort of pan round it, and we should be able to zoom in and out. If you do find yourself sort of off center over here, just press Z and that'll zoom back in. If you've accidentally clicked off the canvas, so off the object, so for example, let's just go back and give you an example here. So let's do this again. Create standard primitives. Let's create that teapot again. So at the minute, I've still got, I'm still in create mode, and I know I'm in create mode because of the command panel, right hand side. I've still got teapot active. So if I was to click and drag, I'm still creating teapots. Okay, I'm still going to create those teapots. So what I need to do to come out of this mode is just right click on the canvas here. You can see that I've come out and I've lost actually my parameter settings by doing that, which isn't a problem because once the object has been created, once this has been created, the actual parameters for it are then linked inside the modifier here. So the modifier controls, again, you can get the parameters and you can adjust selected parameters of a selected object, should I say. So with that, to click off it, if you click the teapot and then click on the empty space here, you'll see that I've deselected everything in the scene. And perhaps you might find yourself like navigating over here and you're like, I need to get back to that teapot. Now, This is where the sort of layers and the scene explorer, or hierarchy should I say, come in really handy, because from here you can actually select objects that are in your scene. So for example, I can select the teapot. I can then come into my canvas and use Z. So I'm just going to pan that canvas a little bit to make sure I'm here, and use Z, and that'll snap it back into place. So again, if I find myself over here and I've accidentally deselect off my teapot, I can select it, use Z, and that'll snap back into place for me. What that also does as well, it puts a central focal point to the camera. So now when I rotate, it's fixated on the pivot point of the teapot, which is quite handy really. Okay, so with that, let's have a look at some of the movement controls. So at the moment, I'm in select and move. So if you're in a different tool, let's switch to that now. You can use W. So each of these have shortcut keys listed. So the move is W. You've got rotate, which is E. And scale, I believe, is R. Yes, there we go. So each of these you can do a different thing. So for example, select to move. We'll move. We can move along these axes. We can grab this and we can move it around. We can move along 2 or more by selecting in between the gizmo, so you can see there. Or I can have like total control where I'm moving it relevant to the camera position in the 3D world space. So you can see, you know, it's relevant to the camera, and you can sort of move that around by clicking centrally. So you can see that box there where it highlights in the middle. I can move that around, which is pretty cool. In addition to that, if I have moved something way off and I need to recenter it back to world space, just use the coordinate system at the bottom here. So I'm going to 0 this back out, and that's fantastic. The teapot is now back in world space center. Okay, so let's look at the next one. So the rotate, the select and rotate tool. So grab that one, and again with this one, we can just rotate. We can actually rotate this tool, move it around, and do a bunch of different things with that object. Okay, so that's fantastic. In addition to that, we've also got the scale. So if we click scale and we scale this object, now notice the radius is not adjusting. It's actually scaling the object in 3D space. So you can see here where I'm actually scaling that. You can scale along the single axes. So here I've just squashed my teapot quite a lot. And yeah, that's sort of the scale tool. We can bring that down. So what I'll do is I'll use the delete key just to remove that, and then I'll create another teapot just to reset. And again, it's about familiarizing yourself with the processes. So at this time, I'm going to use the command panel. So I'm going to go to create, make sure I'm in geometry, standard primitives. I'm going to select the teapot from here. I'm going to click and just drag that out. So that's 2 ways now of creating those teapots. I'm going to come out of the teapot creation mode. So I'm just going to right click on that canvas area. Again, we've got that now placed in the scene. So that's quite good. I'm going to use Z just to zoom in and snap in on that viewpoint, the teapot. So my rotation is central to that object. Okay, so let's move on to the next activity. What I want to do is create 3 boxes. I'm going to create 3 of these boxes. So I'm going to click the box. So again, create mode. I'm going to do it from the command panel. You can do it from over here. So again, you can come into standard primitives and you can create. You can see I've got the box selected already via this menu here. I'm going to create a box in this scene. What I'm going to do is make sure that it's a cube. The cube will uniformly scale for me. So I'm going to create 3 boxes. So again, that's left click, hold, drag, release. Again, left click, hold, drag and release. Make this a little bit smaller. Left click, hold, drag and release. So I've got 3 boxes. Now at the minute, when we're creating these, it's assigning random colors to our objects. Okay. And perhaps we want to change that. I'm just going to right click on the canvas and I'll start with this box here. So I'm going to click this box and I'm going to go into the name and color of the box. And what I can do is I can select that and I can assign a color from here. So I can click OK and it becomes red. I'll do the same again for this one. I'm just going to do blue, and this one can stay green. We'll see if we've got a bit of a brighter green there. like that. Yeah, I think that's good. If you didn't want to assign random colors, just deselect it, and next time it creates an object, it'll be the color that you've specified here. So it has its uses, and again, we'll look at this a little bit later with when we make more complex scenes. But we'll click OK. So what I want you to do is stack these boxes on top of each other. So red being the bottom, blue the middle, green the top, and then the teapot on top using the movement tools inside of here. So pause the video and give that a go now. Okay, so hopefully you was able to achieve that objective. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this box, and I think maybe you've approached it this way, where you've selected the box, moved it into position like this, and we try to get it lined up. Now that is a perfectly acceptable way, but the problem is you can see I've got clipping here. We want these to be stacked flush to each other, so I'm going to just use Control Z to just go back. So for that, I'm going to use the move tool, the select and place tool. So I'm going to grab that, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to place that on there, and I'm going to grab the green one, place that on there. And then in addition, we'll add that teapot to the top. So that makes them sit flush to each other. Now, it's not kind of over yet, because at the moment, these are not central to each other. You can see here where it's sort of more leaning towards this way. So what we can do for that is we can select a box. We can come up to our align tool. I'm going to select this and then select the box that I would like to align. So in our case, it's the blue box is aligning with the red box. I'm going to then adjust the position. So I'm going to do the X and Y. I don't want to adjust the Z because we want to keep it at this height. I'm going to click apply and click OK. And again, I'm going to do the same for that green box. I'm going to do green aligned with blue, X and Y, click apply, and that should be good. And finally, the same here for this one. And there we go. We've got a tower. Now, before we end the video, I just want to make it clear on the wireframe. So at the minute, I'm in a standard view. You can select this and change it into different viewports that you might want. So for example, at the minute, I'm in default shading mode. So what we want to do with this is maybe we want to add the wireframe override, or we have the wireframes toggled on using F4, and you can see toggle those wireframes on with edge faces. So all these here you'll get access to via this tab here. So again, you've got wireframes, you can edge faces you can turn off, so you can see the wireframe a little bit better. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it for this video. So hopefully that's helped you with your navigation tools, movement tools, as well as stacking things on top of each other. So we're getting somewhere. I'll see you in the next video.